I woke up this morning from a dream that gave me absolute certainty about how truth consciousness is as much about force or power as it is about truth. Or maybe in the realm of unifying consciousness, they are not separate at all. This aligns with the fact that Sri Aurobindo's yoga is a spiritual revolution. His force operates on the being from subtle realms in unimaginable ways, transmuting aspects of our nature that would otherwise take ages. So, how can we participate in this revolution without feeling wounded or without feeling pained? Only by coming into our power and recognizing the force. What does it really mean to completely embody the truth and step into our full power, especially in these times when the old reality is crumbling, exposing its limitations, but the new truth has not completely manifested? This new truth feels tangible only at the height of consciousness or in the depths of our heart, or rarely in the body. I believe it means that we must embrace a new story, the story of psychic being. The old story belongs to the ego. We must tell a new story to ourselves. Now, this might sound like one of those motivational videos that we watch in the dark hours of the night, feel pumped up for a little while, only to later realize that it is easier said than done. But that's the thing about truth. It's so simple, so subtle, and yet somehow so complex. But it is actually the ego which makes the truth seem complex. The ego likes to cling to the old story. The ego perpetuates separation and ignorance. It deceives us, tricks us, and sometimes even tries to convince us that it is gone. But then it goes into hiding in different parts of our being and spreads its poison from there, leaving us entangled. The ego, in that way, is elusive, but the new story arises directly from truth, from the psychic being. The psychic being is the center of truth, light, wisdom, and beauty that the divine creates. The paradox is that we cannot fight the ego using the power of the ego or the mind. That would only strengthen it further. We cannot tame it through endless analysis, overthinking, or lamenting the individual or collective traumas of the world. Instead, the time has come to stand directly under the light of truth consciousness. This is not an instant transformation but a gradual process. But at the same time, the stories that we tell to ourselves about not being ready, about how it will take few more years, more practice, more sadhana, are actually constructs of the ego. In fact, Sri Aurobindo warns us against these suggestions and he calls them tamasic suggestions. He says, and I quote, "It is an obsession from the subconscient physical, bringing back the habitual thought. I can't call rightly, I have no real aspiration, etc. The depression, the memory are from the same source. It is no use indulging in these ideas. If you cannot call the mother in what you think the right way, call her in any way. If you can't call her, think of her with the will to be rid of these things. Don't worry yourself with the idea whether you have true aspiration or not. The psychic being wants, and that is sufficient. The rest is for the divine grace on which one must steadfastly rely. One's own merit, virtue, or capacity is not the thing that brings the realization. I shall send the force to rid you of this obsession in any case. But if you can abandon these habitual ideas, it will make the disappearance of the attack easier." So, this is what Sri Aurobindo is telling us, that he can send his force to get rid of all these obsessions and ideas that we have, but we still have to cling to the new story. We have to lean into the story of the psychic being. If we simply decide to say to ourselves that I am the being of light, and this is the truth of my existence, and we firmly stand in that truth, it is enough. because the pressure and the force of truth consciousness are so close to us right now, so readily available. One thing to understand is that we are not talking about relative truth or secondary truth or subjective truth. We are talking about the absolute truth of our existence, a truth that so many of us can tangibly feel. And when we speak of power, we don't mean the egoic power that seeks to dominate and assert itself. We mean the power of truth and its wisdom, the power of truth consciousness itself. By embracing this new story, we signal to the truth consciousness that we are ready, so then it can help us to further walk on this path. Entangling with the ego prevents us from seeing the light, and it actually delays the work. The truth about the ego is that until it is gone, we cannot fully grasp what it really is because it clouds our vision, obstructs the light of truth. But if we open ourselves to the light internally and from above, it will always and always come to protect us and guide us forward on the path.